In the final weeks of 2014, an unsettling tension quietly formed beneath the surface of the online world. Millions of gamers were preparing for the holidays, ready to unwrap new consoles that had dominated wish lists across the globe. What no one expected was that a handful of anonymous individuals would soon turn the festive season into one of the most disruptive moments in gaming history. Hidden behind screens, a group called Lizard Squad was preparing to disrupt one of the biggest holidays of the year. Their actions would create chaos across continents, attract global media coverage, and ultimately trigger investigations from multiple governments. The story that followed would become one of the most notorious tales of digital disruption ever recorded. The origins of this infamous group trace back to August 2014. It began with a sudden outage of an online game that had a massive player base. League of Legends users started experiencing unexplained disconnections across multiple regions. While players scrambled for answers, a previously unknown social media account emerged, claiming responsibility for the server's sudden collapse. This claim immediately triggered curiosity, confusion, and frustration among players. Over the next 2 days, the group continued sending messages designed to harvest attention. Their goal was to escalate, push boundaries, and attract a larger audience. The group then moved on to another major online world, RuneScape. This time, the disruption was more severe, knocking entire game worlds offline and igniting broader attention. Mainstream outlets acknowledged the attacks, calling them costly, invasive, and deeply troubling. Experts pointed out that such digital assaults were illegal and carried real consequences for perpetrators. Yet to the individuals behind Lizard Squad, this was merely a thrill-seeking exercise. They were intoxicated by the reactions, driven by the intensity of the chaos they created and the attention that followed. Their acts became an escalating game of digital dominance. Within less than a week, their ambitions grew. On August 24th, the group shifted focus toward a much larger target. They broadcast a warning aimed at a major gaming corporation known for its mainstream influence. As their message spread, millions of players suddenly found themselves unable to connect to their gaming consoles. For many who relied on these systems to unwind, the sudden outage created widespread anger. However, the individual most irritated by the attack was a high-ranking executive within that gaming company. He expressed public frustration toward the attention seekers who were blending their identity with extremist symbolism for notoriety. His public statement served as gasoline on a digital fire, feeding the attackers with exactly the sentiment they thrived on. During this period, the executive happened to be traveling across the country. As his flight was preparing to proceed, authorities received a claim that the plane he was on had been compromised. The aircraft was immediately diverted and thoroughly inspected for safety reasons. The claim proved to be false, but the disruption created an international incident. Media coverage exploded, launching the group into the global spotlight. The attackers found themselves at the center of a national investigation, and for the first time, the gravity of their actions was impossible to ignore. The event captured the attention of the FBI, the Secret Service, and federal aviation authorities. Yet even as the weight of real-world consequences hovered above them, the group continued to relish the exposure. The attacks halted for several days, though the group spent this time engaging in public banter, enjoying a growing audience. By late August, they hosted an online session inviting questions from anyone who wished to challenge or confront their motives. Thousands voiced anger. Many predicted swift arrests. Some warned them that the path they had taken would lead to irreversible consequences. In response, the group showed confidence, insisting they were safe and nearly impossible to trace. Whether this confidence was real or simply a facade to maintain their new identity was unclear. However, only a day later, they announced what they believed to be their grand exit. Through their personal site, they declared disbandment. They portrayed themselves as geniuses who had achieved something unprecedented, boasting about media coverage and the frenzy they had created. The announcement appeared final, but in reality, they were only awaiting a larger stage. 3 months passed quietly. Then, on December 1st, 2014, the group resurfaced. Their return began with a direct threat aimed at a major gaming company. Within minutes of the message, users found themselves unable to access the online network associated with the company's popular console. The outage spread quickly, causing widespread irritation. Shortly afterward, The group escalated by claiming this was merely preparation for events planned for later in the month. The news media immediately revived coverage, and the group's follower count surged again. The attack set the tone for a month filled with escalating digital turbulence. Various high-profile websites and online platforms began experiencing disruptions as the group continued showcasing its influence. One entertainment network publicly dismissed the idea that the group was responsible for the outages, but this denial provoked retaliation. Their site was quickly compromised, displaying the group's signature mark. The incident earned additional attention when a well-known online host featured the group in his news-style program. Critics argued that he was inadvertently encouraging their behavior by granting them a platform. Regardless, exposure increased rapidly. Their following doubled, and they gained more momentum heading toward their ultimate target. By mid-December, rumors spread across online communities, predicting a catastrophic attack on Christmas Day. Gamers feared that newly gifted consoles would become useless. A second group emerged, claiming to oppose Lizard Squad. This new group called itself Finest Squad and presented itself as a defender of the gaming world. They vowed to neutralize the threats and restore order. At first, they appeared effective, claiming responsibility for taking down several Lizard Squad accounts. However, the two groups quickly fell into a chaotic exchange of misinformation, false identification, and disruptive behavior. Innocent individuals were mistakenly affected by these conflicts, receiving harassing calls due to incorrectly leaked information. Despite any efforts by the so-called defenders, Lizard Squad remained active. As the holiday season approached, the situation peaked. Just days before Christmas, an entire nation experienced a sudden internet blackout. The country in question became unreachable online, prompting global confusion. Shortly afterward, Lizard Squad claimed responsibility. Whether the claim was genuine or opportunistic remained debated, but the attention it generated was undeniable. The world now feared what might occur on Christmas morning. The early hours of Christmas Day arrived, and millions of new consoles sat beneath decorated trees. Families unboxed their gifts, eager to experience the latest generation of gaming. But as the morning unfolded, reports streamed in from around the world that the networks were inaccessible. Both major gaming networks, serving millions of users, were down. The flood of new connections, combined with a targeted digital push, overwhelmed the systems. The disruption lasted for hours, turning one of the most anticipated gaming days into widespread disappointment. Amid this chaos, a well-known internet entrepreneur stepped forward. Recognizing the damage caused by the ongoing attack, he initiated private communication with the group. He offered a substantial number of premium vouchers for his online service in exchange for halting the attack. After negotiations, the group accepted the offer. The digital assault ceased, and systems gradually returned to normal. Across the world, families resumed their holiday celebrations, relieved that connectivity had been restored. While many praised the entrepreneur for mitigating the situation, a lingering question remained. The attackers had not yet faced consequences for what they had done. Only one day after receiving the vouchers, a critical mistake unfolded. Members of the group attempted to distribute the vouchers on a well-known online forum notorious for its level of government scrutiny. Furthermore, one of the individuals used a long-standing account that contained personal identifiers. With this decision, the anonymity the group relied on began to erode. Even more concerning for them, one individual agreed to appear in a televised interview, revealing his face. He attempted to justify the group's actions by framing the attacks as demonstrations meant to highlight vulnerabilities in corporate infrastructure. Another individual appeared in a separate interview, identifying himself as a security analyst despite clear ties to the group. These public appearances attracted even more attention and scrutiny from law enforcement and the media. Within days, authorities moved in. A 22-year-old man from the United Kingdom was the first to be detained after investigators executed a search warrant on his home. Then, another arrest followed in Finland, where a 17-year-old suspect faced charges for his involvement. Despite these actions, the fullest extent of the group's operation remained active for a short time. Remaining members attempted a final surge of attention by falsely claiming responsibility for outages affecting several major social networks. These claims were quickly disproven. The remaining individuals attempted to launch a service that allowed customers to pay for digital attacks, but this platform was quickly compromised, resulting in a list of customers being leaked. Authorities pursued several individuals connected to that service as well, widening the circle of consequences. By early 2015, the group temporarily returned to social media with a new account. They celebrated news from Finland, where one member received a sentence involving monitoring rather than incarceration. A former corporate leader who had been personally affected by their earlier threat expressed deep frustration, stating that the lenient judgment failed to reflect the seriousness of the crime. Online, tensions rose once again. The group responded with more digital attacks targeting games overseen by this executive. Eventually, the executive stepped down from his corporate role, a move widely believed to be connected to the prolonged harassment by the group, though never officially confirmed. Over time, the investigative pressure continued to build. Nearly 2 years after the Christmas attacks, law enforcement in the United States announced a significant development. A young man from Maryland was arrested and charged with his role as a member of Lizard Squad. His case revealed extensive involvement in multiple operations related to the group. He received a prison sentence along with a substantial financial penalty. His arrest marked the beginning of the final chapter for the group. The charges associated with this case also referenced a co-conspirator from the Netherlands, though information regarding the second individual's outcome remained largely unavailable. Other members slowly vanished from public view. Their old online identities became inactive. No further claims emerged under their original name. Some individuals simply disappeared from the digital landscape, while others carried lingering consequences from their involvement. The group's actions left an imprint on the world of cybersecurity, shaping how future groups conducted themselves. Many would attempt to replicate the shock value Lizard Squad had achieved, but none would recreate the unpredictable chaos that dominated the winter of 2014. The story of Lizard Squad stands as a reminder of how a handful of individuals can leverage digital tools to affect millions. It highlights the fragile nature of online infrastructure, the dangers of public attention on volatile groups, and the unpredictable path of internet-driven notoriety. Above all, it illustrates how a season built on celebration can be overturned by those seeking recognition. The Christmas of 2014 became an unforgettable moment in digital history, defined by a disruption that began with a few keystrokes and spiraled into one of the most infamous cyber incidents of its time.